Welcome to Narratives and Nightcaps, Books, Beverages, and Author Conversations. We're back for a reading recap. I'm Bree.
I'm Jordan.
It is wonderful to see you guys.
Yes, likewise. I feel like it's been so long since I've seen your faces.
I know. I guess the time goes by so fast in between like our recordings and everything, but it also feels so long at the same time. But I'm super excited to hear what you guys have been reading. And then we can talk a little bit more too at the end at our new series coming up as well.
No, have you guys started reading?
I have.
I'm not very far, but I have.
Okay, cool.
I've got time though. I've got time.
Oh,
We do have
absolutely. Yeah, no. I was not asking to like give you pressure, but like I'm excited. I cannot wait.
I would pressure me if
I would-
like Megan
said I know myself. So
Start
Jordan,
reading.
you can put on the pressure.
Yes.
That's funny. No, I have started as well. So, it's kind of not like totally different genre, but it's kind of giving me like A Man Called Ove vibes. Like I just
Really?
just a little, I don't know, with their personalities kind of a little bit, the quirky humor sort of. So
I love that. I have not read A Man Called Ove, but I really do.
It's so funny
want
you guys
to.
are like, you're even mentioning A Man Called Ove because my first book is a Friedrich Bachman book. Or Frederick
There's
Bachman.
the segue. Look at that.
Look at that. There is a segue, but before we segue officially,
yes,
Jordan, you need to read it.
Okay, I will. Absolutely. It's been on my TBR. It absolutely has been.
Move it up.
Yeah.
Move it
pressure.
Move it up. It is like, it's unforgettable. And it is one of the most like touching books ever. It's so good.
Have you guys seen the film adaptation with Tom Hanks as well? Was it good?
It was really good. I haven't watched the Swedish version. I've only watched the Tom Hanks version, and I know that there's a Swedish version. The English American version, there were some changes to it, but like overall it really did stick to the story. And like he definitely embodied the Ove character just really well and how he portrayed Ove. So it's very good. I may have shed a tear or two. But that would spoil things.
Well, if I wanted or needed a sign to read it, I was just looking it up and it's available on Kindle Unlimited. So
is it really? Oh,
it is.
Yep.
So I just grabbed it. So yes, I will bump that up, I promise. So because I packed up all of my books, listeners, so I now strictly have my Kindle. That's all I'm reading on is my Kindle and of course audiobook. So those are my two formats now. I said bye-bye physical books until we reach our new home in Colorado. So
because I feel like moving books is such like there's so many and
there's
heavy and there's
and I didn't even ladies listen. I like didn't even know how many bins I would need either. Like I literally looked at my shelves and I'm like, I only have 3 shelves. Like I think there's like 6 bins in the garage.
Yeah.
Maybe.
That's good. That's impressive.
I'm not gonna lie, I was also going through like my books recently because I had to move them all to make way for their homes that they deserve, really. And I was kind of like, should I donate some of these? Like, I was like, should I maybe not be holding on to all of these? And so I was mentally like thinking about some of the ones that I could part with. But I have just some sort of attachment to them. I don't really know what to like.
Well, you've also started your really pretty collection of the sprayed edges a lot too, right?
Yes.
So there's that.
Literally going to make me go bankrupt, probably. I have a very hard time.
Recently, since the last time we talked.
Have I bought any sprayed edges or have I bought books?
I mean, sprayed edges. I know you've bought books. I'm not That's not a
Okay.
concern of mine. The sprayed edges
Megan
one.
said, "I know.
Oh my
Tell
gosh,
me something I
wait,
don't
I
know."
did, and you guys, I have to show it to you. Please hold.
Oh my gosh. This is very exciting. Listener, she has left the
Left the
chair.
scene.
Okay,
My
so
lord.
I did, and it is so cool. So because at first I was like, have I bought any other sprayed edges recently? And then I was like, no, like I did buy a couple collector's editions of a few books, but like they didn't have sprayed edges. But this one does, and I'm pumped.
Oh. What in the Ooh,
That is such a good fucking book.
Okay,
Such a good.
haven't
beautiful.
read it yet.
Oh
Really,
my.
it's been on my list to read.
Move it up.
But
Move number one. Put it number one.
how freaking cool is that?
That's amazing.
That
I
is
know.
incredible.
I got home and I was like, look at this, Jared, look at this book.
So, okay, my question to you, now that you're getting your like beautiful displays set up, are you going to face them out, like edges out? How are you going to display these
See,
beauties?
that's the question with these edges.
Right.
Yeah,
I know.
for sprayed edges, probably.
Yeah, I would.
Yeah, because I really like to look at them.
Because they're really pretty.
But yeah, it's
Oh my gosh.
so
And that one also is on Kindle Unlimited. Okay.
Oh, you
We
guys
just might
literally
be
move
buddy
that to
reading
your
them.
number one. Move it to your number one spot, and then I want a full report on it next time we record from
Yes,
both of you.
ma'am. Well, so so one of us for our recap in May is going to be talking about The Perfect Marriage. Is
Yes.
that what's happening?
Yes.
I can
Someone needs
potentially
to.
do that. I'm trying to think about
I
like all that
I
I'm reading. I can probably make that happen.
Okay.
you never know.
But
Beautiful.
how
Oh.
cool is that?
That is
I
beautiful.
the
It's
second I saw it,
beautiful.
I was like, I have to have it.
I just read the boring old paperback version, so yours is so
Lame.
much nicer.
Lame. Well, I wasn't. That's not even like what I was going to the store for.
Yeah. That's
And
how it gets you.
I
Not
know,
what you
but
want. It just happens magically.
well, now like I am trying to be more cognizant and like not just buy all of the sprayed edges, but that was like a necessity. That was just that had to happen. It was not like your everyday just like color.
Yeah.
It was unique. It was different.
There you go. There you go.
I needed it. So, on that note, Megan, tell us about Anxious People, which I also have and would love to read. So, I'm excited to hear.
Wait, you haven't read it?
No, but I do own it.
I have also not read any Friedrich Bachmann, so I'm super excited to hear about this. Please
Okay.
do
Sweet.
tell.
So I cheated this time and I did use the Goodreads recap. I tried to do my own, but I was like, I'm running out of time. So I just copy pasted. So I just heads up, this is the Goodreads recap version. Looking at real estate isn't usually a life or death situation, but an apartment open house becomes just that when a failed bank robber bursts in and takes a group of strangers hostage. The captives include a recently retired couple who relentlessly hunt down fixer-uppers to avoid the painful truth that they can't fix their own marriage. I'm going to keep going. There's the wealthy banker who has been too busy making money to care about anyone else, and a young couple who are about to have their first child but can't seem to agree on anything, from where they want to live to how they even met in the first place. Add to the mix an 87-year-old woman who has lived long enough not to be afraid of someone waving a gun in her face, a flustered but still ready to make a deal real estate agent, and a mystery man who has locked himself in the apartment's only bathroom. And you've got your worst group of hostages in the world. Each of them carries a lifetime of grievances, hurt, secrets, and passions that are ready to boil over. None of them is entirely sure who they appear to be, none of them is entirely who they appear to be. And all of them, the bank robber included, desperately crave some sort of rescue. As the authorities and the media surround the premises, these reluctant allies will reveal the surprising truths about themselves and set in motion a chain of events so unexpected that even they can hardly explain what happens next.
Wow.
So, sorry if I didn't say at the top. This is the recap for Anxious People by Frederick Bachman.
That was so good.
So
Wow.
that was a lot, but like this, so I feel like A Man Called Ove was similar to this too, but like it's a multiple point of view book, and I feel like it went really, really quickly to read, but it's all basically set in, like, an interrogation type of setting because the police officers are trying to figure out what really happened because it's this hostage situation and someone, called the police or whatever. And so they're all just trying to work it out, and including the police officers, like even they have their own kind of back and forward, because the officers are a father son team. So there's just like that added layer of like, I don't know, just like that family dynamic. So what I enjoyed off from this book right away is that I felt it read very similarly to A Man Called Ove. Like this author
Okay.
has a tone, and that tone is used so far in the two books that I have read. So it's very similarly written. You kind of get this like it's comedic, but it's like depressing at the same time. And there's just um a lot of banter, but a lot of it's just like background. It's all like story buildup, but it goes so quickly through everything to get you caught up to that moment. So you learn a lot of history of events per se for like that specific character or that specific scene, and then it moves into the scene. And I feel like the same can be said about A Man Called Ove. Like you learn a lot about who you're talking or reading about. The next thing I loved were the twists. So this book has, at least for me, like two big standout twists that I won't mention. But I was just like, I literally, it was like one of those, like you slap the table and you're like, what the heck? I didn't even think about that. And there are twists in like a lovely way in a sense. Like, that's just it's so unexpected that you are kind of like in awe almost, and not like, I don't know. It was really cool to see. Um, but like, you start to figure out like who the bank robber is and the story behind the apartment itself. And just, and there's just so much more than meets the eye. I mean, it's obviously this band of characters for this hostage situation, but what each of them brings to the table is so important. So I said, this is one of those books that while it's very bleak, it is very comical. I will say, like, trigger warning, this book also kind of centers a lot around suicide and death, which I honestly pretty similar to A Man
I
Called
was gonna
Ove,
say, which
lot
is
of depression.
super similar to A Man Called O.
Yes. So, like,
Okay.
yeah, just trigger warning there, but like again, equally lighthearted and comical, and just the banter between characters, like you can't help but break a smile over it. So I loved reading it, and now I feel like I can commit to, I believe there is a show, a movie, Anxious People, or maybe it's a series.
I think it's coming out. Is
Yeah.
it already out?
I don't remember, but now I'm like, okay, I've read the book, so now I can actually watch when and
Well,
if
and
it comes out.
there's been a couple of his books that have
Hmm.
been made into adaptations.
Yes. So
So,
that
mhm.
whenever that comes out, now I can say, "Okay, I've read it, and now I can make a good comparison to it." So, I definitely recommend this book if you I said, "Can find humor in depressing situations," because that's pretty much what this book entails.
Which is very similar to Ove too.
Yes.
So
Wow. Okay.
So I, yeah, really liked it. It was, I don't know, it just felt like reading A Man Called Ove, which, so I liked the familiarity of it too. Just it was very, I don't know, it just there's something nice and familiar about it. So that was my first one. And then my second one is The Dead Romantics by Ashley
Boston.
Poston. Thank you. Rhymes with Boston.
It
Poston.
does. It rhymes with Boston. That's how
Yes.
I literally say that in my head every time. I'm like,
Yes.
it rhymes with Boston, Boston.
Yes. So this one again, sorry, took the Goodreads recap, but yes, Brie, I read it.
Sorry, I'm just excited to hear what you have to say.
Okay, so Florence Day is the ghostwriter for one of the most prolific romantic authors in the industry, and she has a problem. After a terrible breakup, she no longer believes in love. It's as good as dead. When her new editor, a too handsome mountain of a man, won't give her an extension on her book deadline, Florence prepares to kiss her career goodbye. But then she gets a phone call she never wanted to receive, and she must return home for the first time in a decade to help her family bury her beloved father. For 10 years, she's run from the town that never understood her, and even though she misses the sound of a warm southern night and her eccentric, loving family in their funeral parlor, she can't bring herself to stay. Even with her father gone, it feels like nothing in this town has changed, and she hates it. Until she finds a ghost standing at the funeral parlor's front door, just as broad and infuriatingly handsome as ever, and he's just as confused as to why he's there as she is. Romance is most certainly dead, but so is her new editor, and his unfinished business will have her second guessing everything she's ever known about love stories. So, I
It's literally
literally,
like Hallmark.
yes,
I love it.
yeah, I literally just finished this book like 2 days ago because I was like, I need another book for this read. So technically it's an April read, but whatever. And I said too, I bought it on a whim after talking to you, Brie, because we were trying to figure out what books to gift Emily. And so I was
Aw.
like, oh, maybe this one. And then I also mistakenly called it The New Romantics, which is a Taylor Swift song. So I don't know why I did that, but whatever. So after starting this book, I had to see where it would take me. I loved reading The 7-Year Slip. Like that was such a good book.
That
Again,
book
Jordan,
is,
if you haven't read that, please do.
I
oh
have
my
not.
gosh, that book I recommend to literally everybody.
Yes.
I definitely want to read that one. I need
And
to
for
read that
me,
one.
The 7-Year Slip, that's like light fantasy-ish, kind of.
It's magical realism.
Magical realism. Thank you.
There
You
you
know,
go. There you
We
go.
even covered those, like what they were, the difference between fantasy and magical
Yeah,
realism,
this is
and
fair, 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 fair.
whatever. Same thing to me.
But it's real world.
Yes, yes. But so I really hoped that I would find something similar in this book. And while it's definitely a cute read, I didn't enjoy it as much as the 7-Year Slip, to be honest.
I mean, I agree with that. The 7-Year Slip is like high, high, high bar for me.
Yes. It was fun, but the concept itself and Brie, I don't know, it felt a little like Layla, but like cute.
Okay,
And
I
I
disagree with
hated
that
Layla.
connection. But like, it's cool.
Bree
But like,
said, "You're wrong.
I
We're
know.
gonna move
well,
on."
Layla is
I'm just
straight up weird.
Oh yeah,
And
yeah.
you're like,
okay.
what is going on? To me,
Yes.
this is like, I mean, even the recap puts it out there.
Yes.
Layla's just like, it's bizarre.
Yeah, we should have never read Layla.
I
I have not, so I will
Don't.
not be
Don't.
adding that to my
I will
TBR.
say, in fairness, I have talked to people though that like absolutely loved it. So,
Well, it's like how I
mm,
feel about Verity by Colleen Hoover.
oh, I did like Verity.
I like
That's
Verity.
great for you. Nope. Nope. Now, can I admire and appreciate the writing? Is honestly, listener, I'm just going to tell you, it's a banger of a twist. That's for dang sure. Yes, I'm not gonna lie. But that one was too much for me.
Yeah.
Absolutely not. No.
Yeah,
Nope.
it's a
It's a
it's a harsh
doozy.
one. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a hard read.
Yes.
But okay, so I don't know, maybe Layla's too far of a stretch, but just like I don't know. I don't find I'm realizing this about myself now. I don't find it cute to like have feelings or like sexual tension with a ghost.
That is fair, and I will. That gave me weird vibes as well.
Yes.
But I'll just leave it
Hallmark.
at that.
Suspend
It's a
disbelief. Come on.
Hallmark ghost story. But I really liked overall, like I really liked Florence's side of the story, like her life and her how she grew up and her family dynamic. Like I really enjoyed all of that. It's just the ghost part that which
Just
is the
wasn't
whole
for
book,
you.
which is the whole point of the book, but I don't know. And there was a great twist too, even with that, which I loved and appreciated at the end. Um, but it just this one fell a little more flat for me, especially compared to the 7-Year Slip. Like that one I enjoyed it so much, so I feel like following up with another one of her books and like maybe I was expecting too much, so I just felt like this one was a little bit more of a just a
That makes
flatter
sense. I
book.
mean, I read The Dead Romantics before we read 7-Year Slip, and and Megan, you gave it to me. I have a novel story, which
Mm,
is another Ashley Poston one, and
Yeah.
I haven't read it yet, and I think it's because I'm kind of nervous that I loved the 7-Year Slip like
yeah,
so much, and I'm nervous
yeah,
because that book to me was just so incredible, and I still think about it, will reread it. So, Yeah, I haven't read it yet because I'm nervous.
I feel like that's like it's kind of funny to me how some authors like so Frederick Bachman. I mean, we've read two of his books and I felt like both of those books were very on par. I feel like they were both really great. I would definitely recommend them. And then you read some authors that have, multiple novels or even like back-to-back novels and you're kind of like, "Ah, man, the first one was really, really good." Or like just even depending on what order you read them in. Like maybe they've been released for a while, but the first one you pick up for whatever
Sure.
reason, that's the one that sticks with you. And then the other ones are like, "Oh, man, I don't know."
I think that definitely happens. Yeah. I mean, it just depends. Because I was the opposite. I read The Dead Romantics first and I liked it, but like the 7 Year Slip, I was just like, oh,
This is
this
So
is
it.
would
it.
you, as an Ashley Poston virgin, would you say the 7 Year Slip then is the way to go to to be introduced to her? Should I read Dead Romantics first or a
That's a good
novel love
question.
story?
That's
I
a
know
tough
that's hard.
question. I don't
'Cause
know.
I have wanted to read her. I
Yeah.
have.
Yeah, I really like, I mean, well, of the two books I read, I really like her style. I would say her books to me, well, the two I've read, they were very, so her theme as a writer is definitely the magical realism
Mhm.
Yeah.
aspect, but how she incorporated that in The Dead Romantics and A 7 Year Slip are vastly different.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So, which I like that, and she's definitely sort of got like a rom-com
Mhm.
to both of them. The 7 Year Slip to me was also a bit more emotional. Like
Agreed.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure
Agreed.
I cried.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, you did.
So we'll
Yeah, you
we'll
did.
we'll go off of vibes. We'll go off of vibes and we'll
Yeah.
go off of mood and just see.
Yeah.
Um yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome. Those are great reviews.
So those are my books, and I might only have one book for next month, but we'll see. I just gotta get reading. That's the
That's
You'll
problem.
okay.
you'll do great. And you can even, I mean, I don't know if we can say this on the podcast, but I mean, you can talk about a book that you have read before,
True.
even if it's not like a
True.
recent read. I was debating doing that. I didn't for this one, but I certainly keeping that in the back of my brain for
That's
future.
actually a really good idea.
Yeah, I've got that. I mean, that's super fair. I think if you have recent stuff, awesome. If you don't, then okay. I was knocking out books this month, so I honestly didn't know what to talk about.
Good for you.
So
Okay.
I had to dial it back.
Well, there you
But
go. I
I'm
but
glad
I
I didn't pick my ghost story one, although it was more of a thriller. It was not any
oh
way romantic. um, so it was a scary book.
Ooh.
well, I am curious about the ones that you brought, so super excited. But okay, so I will transition to my books. The first one that I'm bringing is a historical fiction. Absolutely loved it, enjoyed it a lot. This is Lady Tan's Circle of Women by Lisa C. Um, so, according to Confucius, an educated woman is a worthless woman. But Tan Yun Shin, born into an elite family, yet haunted by death, separations, and loneliness, is being raised by her grandparents to be of use. Her grandmother is one of only a handful of female doctors in China, and she teaches Yun Shin the pillars of Chinese medicine, the four examinations: looking, listening, touching, and asking, something a man can never do with a female patient. From a young age, Yun Shin learns about women's illnesses, many of which relate to childbearing, alongside a young midwife in training, Mai Ling. The two girls find fast friendship and a mutual purpose, despite the prohibition that a doctor should never touch blood while a midwife comes in frequent contact with it. And they vow to be forever friends, sharing in each other's joys and struggles. No mud, no lotus. They tell from adversity, beauty can bloom. But when Yun Shin is sent into an arranged marriage, her mother in law forbids her from seeing Mai Ling and from helping the women and girls in their household. Yun Shin is to act like a proper wife, embroider bound foot slippers, recite poetry, give birth to sons, and stay forever within the walls of the family compound, the Garden of Fragrant Delights. How might a woman like Young Shin break free of these traditions and lead a life of such importance that many of her remedies are still used 5 centuries later? How might the power of friendship support or complicate these efforts? A captivating story of women helping each other, Lady Tan's Circle of Women is a triumphant reimagining of the life of one person who was remarkable in the Ming Dynasty and would be considered remarkable today. So I gave this like it was very, very good. This is the second Lisa C book that I've read. The last one by her that I read was The Island of Sea Women, and I read that one a couple of years ago. Highly recommend both of them. I liked The Island of Sea Women better, I think, just because it was a little bit more action packed. This one, you talk about kind of books being plot driven versus character driven. This obviously had plot to it for sure, but it felt way more character driven. Slow to me at times, hence the reason I kind of gave it like a 3.75 out of 5 stars. But I did love the characters, and you could tell something that I can appreciate with authors of historical fiction in particular is when you can tell that they've done their homework. This was exceptionally resourceful. And for anyone that is in the medical field or that has any like interest kind of in just female care and how it evolved and what all of that looked like, like even looking up, I mean, when they would bind their feet centuries ago, this was just wild to me, right? But the infections that would happen, the risks and the different things that even just came with childbearing too, right? And you can't be seen by a male doctor. Literally, when you are being evaluated, you like it's described as like the man is behind a curtain, right? Behind like a sheet, and somebody is communicating between the two of you, asking the questions. Like all of these very interesting sort of things, and the evolution of even naturopathy, homeopathy, medicine, using all of those things. It is very, very good. And I appreciated the sensitivity and the tact with which too that the author went about explaining like, hey, it's a lot to be a woman. And not only is it a lot to be a woman, but it's a lot to be a woman that is doing what she can to look after herself, to look after others. And centuries ago, when you didn't have the technological advancement that we have today, like that's huge. That's huge. So it was
Wow.
very, very good.
I say it sounds like a really powerful story.
Yeah.
It definitely was. Yeah. And if you look up Yunshin Tan or Tan Yunshin, I mean, I didn't do a super deep dive, but it, she was incredible. Definitely a very, very incredible person. So it was neat. It was very, very neat. Highly recommend reading that one. And I recommend The Island of Sea Women. Like Lisa C is a really, really good writer and knows her stuff. So
And when I pulled it up on Goodreads, I saw that Emily has also read it.
oh, I didn't realize that she had. I'll have to get her thoughts then too.
She wrote a
Definitely.
review.
Oh, did she? Let's
She
call it
did.
out. What did
Do you
Emily
want me to call it
say?
out?
Do it.
Okay, okay. Um, Lady Tan's Circle of Women is a beautiful story of friendship and courage. This is a story I could not put down. I also love Lisa C's gift for telling the story of female friendships throughout the ages. This story was no exception, and I loved learning about Lady Tan, especially considering it's based on a true story. Oh, you just did a wonderful job of saying those names, and I'm gonna blow it up. Tan
Myling?
Tianyun Shin and Mai
Uh-huh.
Ling grow up in 15th century China, and from their proximity, a beautiful friendship blossoms. Tianyun Shin is from an elitist family, and Mai Ling is the daughter of the local midwife. Both are interested and adept at medicine and spend their lives trying to help the women in their community. When Mai Ling inadvertently saves Tianyun Shin's legacy, both women's friendship is put to the test. Both women are two characters I immediately liked and found myself rooting for both throughout the story. I was not familiar with Tanya Shin's story as a female doctor in 15th century China, nor the restrictions on male versus female doctors and doctors versus midwives. And I was amazed at how she was able to overcome so much to build her own community and extend her reach and impact as a doctor. A
Oh
must
yeah.
read.
Oh yeah. Yeah,
She's contributed to the podcast and she's not
look at
even
that.
here.
And she's not even here. No, but honestly, and I feel like Emily in her review did a great job of that, and I did less so, but like the discrimination and just like the adversity that midwives in particular would experience in that period, because like it was all about touching blood, getting icky, getting dirty, and then two, when coroners or whoever would bring midwives in because they would investigate corpses as well, right? Well, then these midwives are unclean. And I mean, it's absolutely it is very, very good. I probably in my initial review was not giving it all the justice that it deserves, but any historical fiction fans that are listening out there, definitely recommend it because it was a very good read. It was a very, very good read. Okay. So for my second book, shifting gears a little bit here, I think we've talked about her on the podcast before. I'm not exactly sure, but I did read recently Long Bright River by Liz Moore. So here's the setup. Two sisters travel the same streets, though their lives couldn't be more different. Then one of them goes missing. In a Philadelphia neighborhood rocked by the opioid crisis, two once inseparable sisters find themselves at odds. One, Casey, lives on the streets in the vice of addiction. The other, Mickey, walks those same blocks on her police beat. They don't speak anymore, but Mickey never stops worrying about her sibling. Then Casey disappears suddenly at the same time a mysterious string of murders begin in Mickey's district, and Mickey becomes dangerously obsessed with finding the culprit and her sister before it's too late. Alternating its present day mystery with the story of the sisters' childhood and adolescence, Long Bright River is at once heart pounding and a gripping suspense novel that is also a moving story of sisters, addiction, and the formidable ties that persist between place, family, and fate. So, I gave this book 4 out of 5 stars. I don't know if either of you have also read, like, Liz Moore was really out there last year with God of the Woods. That was like the big, big book last year in 2024.
It was
Did
like the suspense of the summer.
it absolutely. And I read it. I loved it. I thought it was incredible. Um, I like Long Bright River more. 100%. I thought that it was so much better written. They're both written really, really well. And from a stylistic perspective, you get a sense of Liz Moore as an author, as a writer, and it was really good. But what drew me in with this more than The God of the Woods, it's the pacing, it's the dual timelines. I also felt like this was a very honest and accurate depiction of what a lot of people in the world are dealing with and going through today, in particular in our nation and with the opioid crisis and with, just I believe that they're even calling it an epidemic now. Like it's wild how rampant all of it runs, right? And so it demonstrated so sensitively how addiction impacts everyone, right? Yes, in particular your loved ones, but the world that we're living in today. So that being said, trigger warnings for sure. make sure that you check those. And it has been adapted into a television series with Amanda Seyfried,
I was just gonna
which I
say, I
did
feel like
start
I've seen the
watching.
commercials for it.
I
So,
did start watching it and I love it. It has followed the book pretty well so far. I'm only a couple episodes in. I think there's like 6 or 8 episodes, but it is very, very good. And last kind of thought, last kind of review, the part of it I think that probably gripped me the most, that touched me the most, why I loved it so much. I have a sister that's 10 years older than me. My sister and I are very, very close. So the relationship and the dynamic, that was all just very dear to my heart. And I thought about my sister a lot when I was reading this, not because of any, like not because of any addiction issues or like anything like that going on in my family, but it absolutely, like, you see the two of them fighting for their relationship. Casey fighting to get clean, and running into that cycle, and Mickey doing what she can, but also at the same time running into those loopholes and just those guardrails as a civil servant, as a police officer. And it oh, it's crazy. So highly, highly recommend. That is Long Bright River by Liz
yeah,
Moore.
that needs to be on my TBR.
I have that one and I never got around to God of the Woods last summer, so I need to read that.
I think you'll like them both.
I do.
Yeah.
Obviously, like, as I'm getting to know more of your like reader style, Megan, like, I feel like you'll like Liz more. And I liked both of them. I did. Me personally, I enjoyed this one a lot more. But they're both so, so good. So yes, Bree, bump this one up your TBR too, for sure. We'll just keep racking it up.
I know.
Racking
I
it up.
know. Awesome. So much variety so far.
I
So,
Right? I tried to keep it, like, hey, yeah, I didn't really bring anything like romance or light, I suppose, but
wanted to make sure that I was reading beyond fantasy. So, that's what I did. Um, Although, as I say that now, I'm like reading another fantasy series that is super good. But I do have other. So I was really torn. I had like 3 reads to potentially talk about, and so I narrowed it down to 2. Um, but the first one that I was like for sure going to talk about is Daughter of the Reich by Louise Fine. Um, so this is in the years before World War II. Hetty Heinrich is the daughter of a high-ranking Nazi officer in Leipzig, Germany. She's confident in her duty and the part she must play for her country, mesmerized by the patriotism she's surrounded by every day. But seeds of doubt and confusion begin to take her down a conflicting path when one of her childhood friends, Walter, a Jewish teen, is humiliated at school, ultimately removed, cut off from her family, and then begins to face anti-Semitism, each year getting far worse for Walter, his family, and others in the community. Hetty is forced to confront everything she's known, no longer able to trust her own family, and forge a new but dangerous path forward with and for Walter. Daughter of the Reich is the story of a strong young woman forced to make impossible decisions and risk everything for her friendship and love. So, super happy stuff.
so light and fluffy. Yeah.
Very, like one of the lighter ones. I had a smile on my face the whole time. I actually was like crying so hard in my bedroom, like in the fetal position on the floor,
This is taking us
like
back to the
I was
Nightingale
like
girl.
flashbacks to the Nightingale, to the point that like my husband looked in, Jared looked in, and he was like, "Is everything okay?" And we all know I've been kind of in a weird spot with work too, and I was like, "It's my book," and he's like, "Okay, well, as long as it's just your book, that's fine." So all that to say, I doubt I'll forget this one. It was very moving, heart-wrenching, of course, and a powerful story. Like all the trigger warnings that come with any sort of World War II novel.
Mm,
I've often gravitated toward World War II historical fiction, but not many that are set in Germany and in those like pivotal years that led up to the war, which
mm,
is a really fascinating and troubling time period. And this story effectively conveys just how persuasive propaganda and connections can be, especially from the perspective of a young teen and the growth throughout those years. I
yeah.
would definitely highly recommend, but certainly like prepare yourself for a lot of that. But yeah, this story was just incredibly moving. Um it is certainly graphic at times, but really really unique because when you're first introduced to Hetty, like she's young. I mean, I want to say if I'm recalling, she's like 10, 11, 12. And so you follow her along for years and just to understand to like the mindset of a child in that sort of environment. And then as they grow too and start to form their own opinions and thoughts and have some sort of realizations about like all that they've known maybe isn't what it seems to be. I thought was really, really just well done in this story. At times, maybe a little bit slow, but like overall, a very, very incredible World War II novel. Highly recommend.
Have
I
you read anything else by?
I haven't. That was my
Okay.
first Louise Fine novel. That was the first one I'd read of her. It'd been on my list for a while, and I was definitely glad that I took the time to read it. I took the time. It didn't take me that long.
There you go.
So, okay. Went in a totally different direction. So after I read Daughter of the Reich, I actually, I needed a bit of a palate cleanser, which is this book that I'm about to talk about. And then I also read this supernatural thriller called Hidden Pictures by Jason, I'm going to butcher his last name, Rekulek. Yep, nailed it. And so if you're like interested in like a supernatural type book, you could look at that one. I don't need to go into the details about my review on it, but that was the other one. So this was me needing something easier to read. So I read Before We Were Strangers by Renee Carlino. I'd read a book of hers before. It was years ago, and I've had this book for a very long time and just hadn't read it. So finally took a dive into that. 15 years ago, Matt and Grace were, quote, fast friends at NYU. Although from very different paths, their friendship was honest and very clearly heading toward more. But in a classic wrong place, wrong time, miscommunications, and different ambitious futures ahead, Matt and Grace drift apart. Until a very brief and chance encounter when Matt spots Grace on the subway platform and the two see each other for literal seconds before she's gone. But Matt can't help but want to find Grace to know what really happened 15 years ago, and so he writes a message on a very specific Craigslist post to find missing connections. And this is like copy and paste from Goodreads / the back of the book, but this is what he says. We met 15 years ago, almost to the day, when I moved my stuff into the NYU dorm room next to yours at Senior House. You called us fast friends. I like to think it was more. We lived on nothing but the excitement of finding ourselves through music, photography, hanging out in Washington Square Park, and all the weird things we did to make money. I learned more about myself that year than any other. Yet somehow it all fell apart. We lost touch the summer after graduation when I went to South America to work for National Geographic. When I came back, you were gone. A part of me still wonders if I pushed you too hard after the wedding. I didn't see you again until a month ago. It was a Wednesday. You were rocking back and forth on your heels, balancing on the thick yellow line that runs along the subway platform, waiting for the F train. I didn't know it was you until it was too late, and then you were gone. Again, you said my name. I saw it on your lips. I tried to will the train to stop just so I could say hello. After seeing you, all of the youthful feelings and memories came flooding back to me, and now I've spent the better part of a month wondering what your life is like. I might be totally out of my mind, but would you like to get a drink with me and catch up on the last decade and a half? So,
Wow.
like, also just really interesting that that is like what's on the back of the book too, is literally his misconnection post. So I was easily invested in these quirky characters. Like, they're fun and young. It's told from both points of view and switching timelines, past and present. So the pace of the story, like, it just flies by. I mean, it's a super easy read, but when you're flipping back and forth between the two of them and really interested in what their perspectives are and what happened and led up, and then flipping the timelines too from present to past, it was really, really easy to just be totally captivated by it. And although I'm calling it like an easy read and a palate cleanser, it's also a very raw and like touching story that feels incredibly real. If you like a second chance love story, one that definitely feels like fate, people finding each other years later just by chance, then this is a must read.
It kind
Very,
of
very
reminds me
cute.
too, because I feel like Brie, you and I have talked before about like friendships that seem similar to this too, and like just those,
Mm,
like you were so close with someone, or like even like a previous work friend or a previous like whoever, and then all of a sudden they're gone from your life, and you're like, what the heck have they been doing this whole time? Where are you in the world?
Yeah, no, and I guess like if you don't, so if miscommunication stuff bothers you, then like this is, you may not enjoy this one. But
Mm.
at the same time, like it never feels awkward as a part of their story. Like the miscommunication is it feels very real, and like it could have, it just happened that way. Like they're both really young and in college, and both have these like really, really neat careers that they could go down. But at the same time, it's like, have I met my real person, but just at the totally wrong time? And so, and then you're young and you like make stupid decisions, or you don't make a decision and you probably should have. So
sure.
it felt really honest, and it's also really interesting to have their perspective now too, where they're like in their mid 30s and kind of reflecting on their life in college and like what that meant to them and when they were really happy. So it was very interesting, like a nice, goodness, sorry if you heard the door slam. um I don't think that was intentional. I think it's just windy. But yeah, it was just a really like a nice read. I could certainly see moments depending on where you're at where it could be kind of emotional, but I would
Yeah.
recommend it. It was my like I said, it was my second time reading a Renee Carlino book, and although it's been years since I read the other one, like I remember enjoying that read as well too, and thinking it was just like a nice love story, nice second chance story.
No, that's really
So
good. I love that. That's awesome.
cool. Well, that was an awesome selection of books for sure. And we are getting ready to head into a new series. Jordan, do you want to introduce that just a smidge before we wrap
Yeah,
up?
yeah, I know we had talked about it kind of when we wrapped up Crown of Gilded Bones, but we will be reading The Thursday Murder Club by Richard Osman. Super, super excited. I read this book years ago, and I'm doing a reread, obviously, for our podcast as well as my local book club. And so excited and so grateful that you ladies are joining. And actually, I was just about to throw in our group chat after this. The cover for book 5 just came out. So that's kind of fun and exciting. And I cannot even tell you, like, I check IMDb on a regular basis for like updates on the series adaptation, the film adaptation. I don't know if I think it's a film. I can't remember if it's a film or a series, but we're talking Helen Mirren, we're talking Pierce Brosnan, Sir Ben Kingsley. Like, I'm so, so excited to see it come to life on the screen and cannot wait. So I think I have like 4 hours left on my Kindle version. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna record with Bree and Megan today, and then hopefully try to crank it out before I go to bed tonight. So I'm super excited. So yes, it'll be The Thursday Murder Club by Richard Osman.
I'm
Can I
so
just say, like, I knew a little bit, like, I knew this was a book about, like, an older generation solving mysteries. I
Uh-huh.
did not realize that it was also British, so that's a fun surprise.
It's listen, I'm all about reading, like, kind of like Brie, like, I've read a lot of, like, World War II
Mhm.
historical fiction stuff, like, I'm all for settings across the pond, okay?
Yes.
Like, I listen, or honestly, even Canada, to be completely honest, there was a different series that I've been reading recently that took place in Canada. I don't know that we're gonna do it on the podcast for the series special, but off pod listener, we've been talking about the Outlander series, which I've also been reading, and like that's like Scottish Highlands, like it's just absolutely beautiful. So major pluses. Absolutely.
One day I will take a trip to all of the different locations
Oh,
in that book.
same.
Like, oh, it's my dream.
I want to go so I'm sure that there's tours. I'm sure there's tours and like different things that you could probably do in
This
the
is kind of
Highlands.
embarrassing. I recently saw this like woman popped up on my Instagram that she takes photos of people dressed in like old Highland
Yeah,
attire out in the Scottish Highlands, like professionally, and
like that's her job.
that's her job. And
I love that.
she provides the clothing and stuff for you. And the photos were gorgeous. And I was also I was like, do we think I could convince Jared to do this? And two, like it
Would you make
is
him
that
wear a
it,
kilt? Are we talking a kilt?
yeah, yeah.
Okay,
Uh-huh.
this is giving me, when like
But is that
you see
allowed
those
too? Like
family
is that like appropriation? But I'm like,
I don't know. But have you seen those like people that do those family photos and you're in like an old saloon and everyone's like got guns? Like
Yeah, yeah,
it's
yeah.
like that, but like
It's that,
Scottish.
but it's Highland times.
it's
Oh,
it's that but Outlander.
That's
So,
amazing.
yeah,
I would pick Outlander over
same. Oh, every day.
100%.
Every
100%.
day.
That
Okay.
well, I mean, I don't know. I do love I am a sucker for some good cowboy stuff. So those those also feel like they could be fun.
I've been seeing like cowboy romance stuff having a moment. Um, has anyone read? I haven't read any, and so I'm
No.
like,
Wait, which one?
like cowboy romance novels are just
I can
having a moment.
I can send you some recommendations.
Oh,
I got some for you. Sure.
those were so just curious. Like hockey romance had a moment. I didn't actually read any of them, but like
I haven't
Seeing the
either.
covers. Yeah.
yeah, seen the covers, know a few of them, thought some of the videos online were kind of funny. But I know cowboy romance is also
Having
it's
its
its time
time.
to shine.
I'm not mad about it. I'm not
That's
mad about
funny.
it.
I mean, I do like Yellowstone, so like is
I
that
just finished 1923 last night.
how was it? I haven't watched it, so
Oh, you haven't watched 1923? Have you watched the other
I
spinoff, the 1883 one?
no. I think it's mainly because I'm cheap and just don't want to buy the
I
platforms that
can't
I need to
I
because
can't say
I feel
I
like I
blame
have
you.
so many. I
I
feel like
know.
I have so many of them that I'm like,
First world problems.
yeah,
Um,
I'm a big fan of like a 7 day free trial and will binge something in that time period.
I can't say I blame you for that. I really liked 1923. There were definitely parts of it that are challenging and that are really hard, but it was very, very well done. Emily can speak to that too. She actually had like texted me when she finished it. She was like, "Have you finished it? I need to talk to somebody about it." And I was like, "Probably not till next week, and I'm really, really sorry." And so then I like texted her last night because I finished it. So anyway,
Very nice. All
but
right, well,
Yellowstone is so good. Highly recommend that too.
reading Rex and show Rex all
There you go.
around. So awesome. Well, always lovely chatting with you, ladies. I'm excited to talk about the Thursday Murder Club with you soon. In the meantime, where can people find us if they'd like to? Jordan, I'll let you go.
Yeah, definitely make sure you follow the show on Instagram. We are at Narratives and Nightcaps. Give us a review, a follow. Make sure you're listening on any of those platforms, Apple, Spotify. You can find me. I have a Bookstagram page. It is Cozy Reads and Sips. You can find Emily. Emily is at books.bottles. So, yes.
Awesome. And she will be back as well for our series special when we get that started here later this month.
So
Thanks
excited for that.
Oh, me too. Thanks so much for listening. Cheers.
Cheers.